Let's take a look at a few examples of outbreaks, food safety failures, recalls to highlight the importance of having a food safety plan. What's kind of happened before in the past. Yes, some of them are from a while ago, but these are more of the famous examples out there. So the first case maybe you're familiar with, Peanut Corporation of America, salmonella in peanut products, 2008 to 2009. A lot of people got ill, 9 dead in 46 states. So many products recalled by more than 200 companies. What went wrong here? Well, they were receiving raw peanuts that are typically exposed to wildlife, bird droppings, and so there's that potential for salmonella contamination. And you have that possibility for all raw agricultural commodities, peanuts being one of them that are susceptible to salmonella. In this case, the facility was hoping to roast the peanuts for the required amount of time, the right temperature at the right time, but that's not what happened. Why not? Well, there were several issues, as we can see here. The first one being is that they did not validate the roaster. A lot of the times, these roasters are very old. There might be cold spots, maybe on the sides. Some product didn't reach the right temperature for killing salmonella. Validating means that all peanuts leaving the roaster have actually reached the required temperature, not just some of them. That roaster can actually make sure that salmonella is being reduced from that process. So maybe some of the peanuts leaving the roaster, they haven't actually achieved the right temperature. The equipment wasn't validated properly. And so if some of them don't reach the right temperature, salmonella will survive, recontaminate the rest of the product. So that was a big issue there. Salmonella survival, their kill step wasn't effective. Sanitation, problems with sanitation. They had issues with preventing cross-contamination from raw to processed peanuts. So the raw peanuts, they have salmonella. They cross-contaminate, transfer to finished product, even after they've gone through the heat treatment, of course. Preventing environmental pathogens. So the two main environmental pathogens we're concerned for are salmonella and listeria. Maybe they didn't control the humidity. They weren't controlling for those favorable environmental conditions like dark, damp areas, salmonella, listeria. It's growing in the cracks, crevices in the facility, and it makes its way to the product. And so that's why we need to clean, sanitize, inspect, follow the SOPs for cleaning the drains, preventing condensation. So they didn't have that level of control for the environment as well. So cross-contamination control, environmental pathogen control lacking. I would ask, how were they zoning employees? How were they segregating raw versus processed? What were their verification procedures? How are they monitoring the environment? So lots of questions to ask here. That was the primary processor. So the main facility actually roasting the peanuts. Now, the customers also failed in this case. So those purchasing those roasted peanuts, they looked at the product and said, okay, I'm receiving roasted, treated peanuts. It's safe to use. And then they use it in products where there is no kill step for ready-to-eat applications. Maybe they're putting the roasted, treated peanuts straight into granola bars, nut bars, cold-pressed products. It's ready to eat. It goes to the consumer where there is no further control. So what the customer should have done, the person putting it into their bars, is actually go back to the supplier and make sure they did a good job of the roasting. They did implement the control. So the key takeaway here is that we cannot be satisfied with these buzzwords: roasted, pasteurized, treated. We actually have to go back and make sure they did apply the right control method, that it is validated, there was no recontamination, they have their sanitation controls in place. So supply chain program was lacking as well. That's why so many products were recalled, because it wasn't just the facility, but also the customers, the downstream entities. They weren't controlling the hazard with their supply chain. We'll talk about supply chain preventive control. Basically, whenever you have an ingredient that has pasteurized, treated, blanched, you have a supply chain preventive control if there is a high-risk hazard being controlled by your supplier. Okay, next case, botulism from hazelnut yogurt. They were producing fruit yogurt originally. With the fruit yogurt, they were able to leverage that it has a higher pH. The fruit's more acidic, it's controlling for bacterial growth. Then one day, R&D wanted to change things up a little. They wanted to replace the the fruit with hazelnut. So they took out the fruit, replaced it with hazelnut without making any adjustments to the formulation. So that was the breaking point. As we know, Clostridium botulinum loves to grow where there is limited oxygen, and the way we control for that is dropping the pH. But that's not what happened here. They didn't consider the pH change, and then they had an outbreak. In addition to not controlling the pH to consider for that decrease in acidity, they also had problems with refrigeration. So product came in, they didn't refrigerate it properly. So overall, they were missing some key steps. Customers, again, because they're relying on that product, that supplier to implement these controls, they haven't gone back to the supplier to make sure they did process the product properly. So again, supply chain program was lacking. There was an outbreak. Another type of situation we'll talk more about is allergens. As we know, undeclared food allergens are the #1 cause of Class 1 recalls. Allergic reactions can be very serious and can result in death. And so the most common cause of undeclared allergens was wrong label or package was applied. So even with all of your allergen cross-contact prevention techniques in place, at the end of the day, we're simply applying the wrong label to the wrong package. We don't declare what allergen is present. We're misinforming the consumer, and we have a recall because allergic reactions can be deadly. Okay, so these were some cases from a while ago, and of course, these are just a needle in the haystack of outbreaks out there. If you do want to look into more information about recent outbreak data, what's currently going on, other products to pay attention to, well, I've sent a link to the chat box. That is FDA outbreak data. If you click on the link, scroll to the bottom, it will show you outbreaks that were and are currently under investigation. And so overall, these are food safety failures we want to avoid, really highlighting why we need to have a food safety plan.